All right, Adam, thank you so much for joining us. And so you are the co-founder and head of research at Softmax. And I was just going down a rabbit hole earlier with your blog and reading I've read a lot of AI research, but you've done some of the most interesting AI research that I've personally ever read on anxiety. And I'm so interested in your journey, and especially as it pertains to your research and how that led you to Softmax.
Yeah, sure. So, thank you all for sticking around. You may have been hoping to hear from my co-founder and our CEO, Emmett. He couldn't make it, and I'm going to do my best to make an impression of him, I suppose. The basis, though, of Softmax was actually research that I was doing a few years prior, which is what I think you were pointing to. I was studying how anxiety works. Why is it that we make these inferences about the world as being dangerous when sometimes it actually is not? And then in some ways, we bring about the dangerous world that we fear because of the way that we expect things to be. And that led me to a bunch of interesting threads, like Carl Friston's work on the free energy principle and predictive processing and things like that. And what I realized is that the way that the world is approaching AI research is the same thing. Most of us are very anxious about what the future is going to look like with ultra-powerful AI. And unfortunately, through our fear, we're bringing about the very world that we are afraid of. We've created this paradigm of control where we need to make sure that the AIs don't do the wrong thing, make sure that they don't control us. And if you look around in biology, there's lots of examples of things working nicely together without either or any part of it being in control. So really, the anxiety research set the stage for a different framework of AI alignment that's based on AIs and humans working together symbiotically instead of either one of us being in control.
Yeah, and that's a great transition into the next question I have for you, which is around AI alignment. And obviously was reading a lot about that. So what do you think is currently missing from the discussion around AI alignment right now?
Yeah, well, I think the assumption that most people have, who here has heard the term AI safety? Raise your hand. Okay, who here has heard the term AI alignment? Okay. Who here thinks they've got a good explanation for the difference between the two? Right. Okay, we got one hand. Yeah, what do you think? Awesome. Okay, so I completely agree with your answer. Alignment is about making sure that the AI is aligned with our values, or maybe goals, you could say, or something like that. And safety is about preventing it from, doing things that harm us. Those are different things. Those are different things. In some cases, they're the same thing, right? But if you want to have an aligned relationship, right, with like a business partner, a romantic partner, you probably don't want to maximize for safety. Safety prevents you from growing, prevents you from exploring, prevents you from doing literally anything different than you've ever done before, right? And if we want AIs to help us solve really difficult problems, which I do, we can't say we're going to only do it if we're 100% certain it'll be safe, because such certainty does not exist. Alignment is really, really important, and we need to do it with an understanding of safety, but they're not the same thing. And so anyway, that's my view on this in terms of AI alignment, is that what the field is missing is that they don't see the difference between these. And because they don't see the difference, they don't even bother to ask themselves, which one of these do I care more about? How should I trade these off against each other? It's just assumed that either we need to control everything to be perfectly safe, right? Or we need to not control anything because the harms are, the upside is too good, instead of having a nuanced and balanced discussion between the two.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. Yeah. My question to you is really around, given that now we're getting into the stage of planning next year's conference, and at the pace at which the sector is changing, it's very hard to predict what would be relevant in terms of conversation like next year.
Yeah.
What are your AI predictions in terms of what would be the center of the conversation in AI in a year from now?
Okay. Well, there's lots of stuff that changes year to year. AI architectures, numbers of parameters, numbers of modalities. I expect that those things will keep changing for as long as they can. But there's certain universal things that are just factors of complex systems. And One of those is how well do parts work together, right? Early on, there were only two parts in AI alignment. There was a person and an AI. Nowadays, that's not true. You could have lots of people and lots of AIs. And by next year, you're going to have lots more agents, and the year after, even more. But the question of how well do they work together, that's going to be true, I think, for as long as we're all alive. That's going to be a key research question. How do we get these parts to cohere and function well together? And I think that the industry is starting to wake up to the fact that the principles and research practices that made sense in an era of a single monolithic agent are just no longer the relevant framework when you have dozens, hundreds, or millions of agents. We need a new science of multi-agent alignment. And I mean, if I were to guess now, that'll probably be one of the themes. If not next year, then maybe in 2 years.
Awesome, and I think that aligns perfectly with our theme for next year, like the age of agency. And yeah, we're really excited to start planning to next year conference. And if we can, please go to the next slide. We can't emphasize how important it is for us. Like, we really are a group of volunteers, and this wouldn't have been possible without like the commitment of the speakers that are here joining us, the volunteers that are helping organize that conference, but also like the sponsors that are really providing all the support that we need in order to be able to deliver such an amazing conference. So please highly encourage you to, if you have a sponsorship opportunity or speaking opportunity or volunteering opportunity to help us make this a success next year, please do reach out to us. And yeah, we would be more than happy to collaborate on that.
Cool. If people have other questions, feel free to come up now, and you can also shoot me an email at adam@softmax.com. Thanks.
Looks like we have an audience. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.